again, Jacqueline Jax from ABA Live Radio. You guys ready to tackle some branding? Because I am here to deliver an answer to your most asked questions on music branding and marketing. Today, I have a question from one of the music artists in our music community, and he says, what are the benefits to building a personal brand, and how do I know if and when I have one? Well, that is just such a good question, and actually one I'm so glad you asked, because I have got a great answer for you. First of all, I just want to say special thank you to Bobby Caraway for being on my show today. It was a great pleasure. He was such an inspiration to speak to, and we talked about branding and marketing and what it really takes to be a musician compared to when he was first getting started, as opposed to the musicians that are doing what they're doing today. And we both agreed on the show that one of the most important things is that you take that time to actually evolve and become a brand. It's really, really important that you know the difference. We talked a lot also about aspiring music brands, because this generation with social media has the ability to, in your description box on Facebook, just write in whatever you want. And a lot of times we think that just by writing it, we've accomplished it. Now that's a piece of it, yes. You're supposed to write down what it is that you want to happen. But you also have to remember that you have to do the work to actually get it to happen. So that's something I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today too. Now first off, before we even go into branding and marketing, you have to have that huge ambition and that work ethic. And that's a lot of what Bobby and I agreed on today, was that you have to have huge work ethic. They knew back in the time when he started making music without social media being available, that you had to put in that massive amount of work. And even today, I can tell you guys that all of these creators that you're seeing doing well out there on social media, and people just building businesses on social media, if you want a brand, you have to work for it. You have to put in that time and that energy and have that voice and develop that momentum. And if you develop your skills and you develop your talents, you have a strategy, and you pursue it really, really hard, then there's a brand that's going to happen there. Now, some of you have messages right away. You kind of have an idea of what your brand's going to be about, that brand message, that core message that solicits that emotional response. Not the end product, but the actual brand itself. That's the part that you don't have to be in the room for. So what people know about you and what they're saying about you when you're not in the room, that's the idea of the brand. That's the strength, that's the boldness, and the part that people develop a little bit over time, right? Because it takes a lot of energy to create a brand. You have to have a voice. You have to figure out what it is that you're going to say. It has to be authentic. It has to be unique. And it has to really say something and stand for something. That's one of the things that people from generations of creators and artists in music know, that the journey brings you. It doesn't just happen overnight. So there's patience that has to go into that. Another thing is knowing that social media, you have that ability and those wonderful tools at your fingertips to be able to get your message out there. So at what point do you become a brand? Well, not when you are first starting. That's not the brand. The brand is kind of a combination of things and a flow that happens as a result of very, very hard work and consistency. When you arrive at that real authentic message, that's when the brand starts to build. But it's not until it takes hold of the people who know about it and understand what you stand for and kind of assimilate you and associate you with a certain message or a certain thing that you stand for, that you start developing a brand. Now, there's a difference between a product and a brand, because the product is the item for sale, but the evolution of the product coming from the person who discovered it and the person who created it, that's more of the part of the brand. So there's a little bit of difference between just saying you're a brand and actually doing the work to get there. A benefit of having a personal brand, and this is something I talk to bands a lot about. Typically, you'll join a band and you lose your identity and you become part of the band's brand. That's something you should never allow to happen. It's not that you don't respect the band you're with, but remember, people live on for a long, long time. But products, they usually come and go, and so do bands. So even though by building your personal brand, you're not saying that the band's going to break up. It's just important for you to have and maintain an identity, and not for the reason that you think something's not going to work out. It's for the strength of all those people coming together to build that company. So now we have the personal brands, which social media allows us to develop, and pretty much everybody with a personal page on Facebook is in a way kind of branding themselves, right? But they're not an official brand until the message is really clear coming forward, and I say on a public page. So make sure you have a public page that actually states the brand, has some images on there, and kind of conveys the message and works every day at getting that message across and serving the people in front of it. I think that's really, really important too, because you have to understand how you serve the people that you want to identify with your brand. Another thing we always talk about in branding and marketing is the strength of the brand. And the reason why over time they develop into strong brands is because of consistency, energy, and also that strategic placement. So once you do have your brand message in place and you know what you stand for and you know what this whole world is going to be for you, and I'm not saying that you can map out your future or that you're going to stick to the same goals. You're just going to build a brand that people can count on, connect with, and know that you stand for something. Now, that's going to be different for everyone, so I have to generalize. So just kind of use your imagination. Try and think of what people know you most for and what they most appreciate about you, and you'll kind of get a hint as to where your brand is leading. Now, taking the time to find your voice is in that developmental type of phase, and this is something that we all have to put in the work to do. Now, there's not a single influencer out there that isn't going to agree with me when I say that it is work beyond your wildest dreams. I mean, you are working where you're not taking vacations sometimes if you want it to move faster. And if you want to really, really make an impact, you have to be in it 250%. And I'm not talking about I live for my next vacation either. I'm talking about I live for my brand and developing my business. And that side really has to be forefront on your mind. It's difficult with all the distractions because even social media is a distraction, your friends, your family, you have to make time for everyone, but you have to have the balance also, and you have to know that if you want to build something huge and you're shooting for the stars, that's not going to happen on its own. You're going to have to put in the work, and these people that you see that have achieved it, that you look up to and you aspire to be, they have certainly worked to get to where they are. This is not a viral thing that happens overnight. If you've ever seen a viral video take effect, you'll know that if you look at the person behind the viral video, they usually are still pretty nameless. The viral video itself takes on a life, but the person itself, they kind of fire up like a flame really quick and then they fade out really fast. And that's because there was really no brand behind the viral message in the video, or that video just took off for one reason or another and it kind of went down the line. A lot of it wasn't even watermarked when it happens. So it's really difficult to build a brand as a result of a viral video. That's more of a get my message in front of people and hope that it sticks type of thing. So it's not always the viral video or the viral anything that you're after. You're after that long-term established structure, and that's what's going to be the best builder of your brand personally. Now, let me just give you a little warning. The side warning is that you have to be strong and you have to be willing to stomach the haters, because I can assure you that in the first year to 3 years, even past that, and as you get more popular, it gets worse, you're going to have to stomach those haters. There's going to be questions. There's going to be comments. There's going to be people not getting you. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come up, and it's going to try and break you down. There's even people out there, believe it or not, that are just miserable, and they have nothing better to do than to actually attack people who are talented. So keep that in mind and know that the haters will always be there, but they don't have to be part of your story, and you don't need them to move ahead in life. So back off haters, because they really don't count, and they shouldn't count to you either. Don't let them get into your head. Ways that I keep people from getting into my head is by surrounding myself with very supportive people that I love to hang out with and that understand me, who have been around from the beginning, that always have a positive vibe, and hopefully some mentors that can tell me or advise me on where I'm going to go. Now that happens for everyone. Whether you're a music artist or in business, there's always going to be somebody that is at the next level to where you need to get to. So make it a habit to surround yourself with some really, really cool people that you not only love to hang out with, but that inspire you and make you a better person. Get those people in your life and really nurture those relationships, because those are going to be the most important relationships that you have. They're going to be the people that really understand what it takes and have been down the road. So that's probably one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can certainly give you. A couple more things is, what's the value? I mean, if you can't answer the question of what the value of your brand is to me as somebody just meeting you today, then you certainly don't have a brand, right? So you have to really develop the value. What is it that you're giving to your audience aside from just new music or just the greatest new music? You have to stand for something. Now, you see a lot of people work on charities. You see a lot of people take on different positions, right? You even see that micro niche. Now, I've always said that the gold is in the micro niche. And the reason why is because it's much easier to find an audience for your voice if you know exactly who you are. So if you're shooting for, say, every millennial out there, right, then you know that you're going to have a really hard time developing a brand. Because one, millennials move like a flock. They're like a group that wherever the popular vote is, that's where they head to. The second is that if you're not micro-niched enough, then you're not automatically attracting an audience that's specifically looking for what you have. So you want to make sure that your brand actually speaks in a consistent way to that micro-niche customer, that super fan that always is there for you, sharing your stuff. Now, if you have even 5 of them, they'll stand out because they will always be there to share everything you've got. You've got to get to know those people and find out what it is that they like so much about you. And there lies that brand secret sauce. What they have emotionally connected with you for is usually something that is in your heart and very authentic. That's something you want to pay deep attention to. So even if you have some, overzealous fans in the beginning that might seem to drive you crazy, those are the best people to connect to and talk to about your brand, because they're the ones that really get you and see something that maybe you're not seeing. That's what we want more of, because that's where the riches are. That's where the support is, and that's where you're going to be able to make this not only a passion that you can discuss with people, but hopefully a career as well, and a lasting, long-lasting brand that you'll be happy with. Now, passion has a lot to do with it, because you're not going to be consistent if you're not passionate. So that brings me to my last point. Make sure that you choose something to do that you're absolutely passionate about and that you absolutely love, because there's a longer game than you think ahead of you. And if you're just playing the short game, it's not likely to happen. You're going to fizzle out really fast if the passion's not there. Get in it for the long game. Look farther ahead. And remember that the brand is the message, not the piece of music that you come out today. It's the contribution that you're contributing to another world and a whole new level of understanding about you, your journey, and what it takes to get there. This is Jacqueline Jax for AVA Live Radio. I hope you enjoyed today's talk. Don't forget to leave me a comment below so that I that can be part of your conversation. I want to know what you think about branding and marketing, the differences, what you're doing to move yourself ahead, and ask me any questions because maybe your question might just end up on my show. I'll talk to you guys later.